Hello, and welcome to FortiGuard Live. I'm Derek Mankey, Vice President of Global Threat Intelligence at Fortinet's FortiGuardLabs, and we got a really special episode today. I'm joined by Jon Baker, who is the Director and Co-Founder of the Center for Threat-Informed Defense with MITRE Engenuity. We're going to talk about what that all means today and specifically hone in on the Center's 2023 Impact Report. Jon, we've had some great conversations before, and I'm really excited to talk with you again. How are you?
I'm great, and thanks for having me here today, Derek. Last year was a really big year for us. I've said to some that I kind of think of it as a bit of a breakout year. We ended up launching more projects than we've ever launched before, and the thing that I'm particularly excited about is that as we've gone through our research program, I think that we're getting to a place where we're having more and more impact with kind of each successive project. So super excited to talk with you about the Impact Report today.
I couldn't agree more, especially being, we're working so closely with the center and obviously the numerous projects. And let's talk about that. Just for a refresher for our audience, maybe you can give an outline, just backing, a step up. What is MITRE Engenuity and the Center for Threat-Informed Defense, the mission, and how Fortinet's been involved?
So I co-founded the Center for Threat-Informed Defense a little over 4 years ago. We built this organization to be a privately funded research and development organization where we work together with people like you and other organizations across the community to advance threat-informed defense for the whole community. So we're a membership-based program where we bring together really highly sophisticated cybersecurity teams to try to systematically identify kind of where are the hard problems, where are the sort of the most impactful issues that we could tackle through our research program, and then do it in a way that benefits the whole community. So at this point, we now have, I think of it as kind of like an engine. We run an innovation program where we're always bringing in new ideas, evaluating them. Derek, obviously you and your team bring ideas to the table all the time and help us kind of evaluate other organizations' ideas. Eventually, we turn those ideas into projects. We run those projects working hand in hand with our members to develop the solutions for those projects. And then at the end of the project lifecycle, we publish it, and we work hard to help the whole world understand the work that we've published and use it to try to improve cyber defense at scale. So ultimately, our mission is working in partnership with industry to improve cyber defense for the whole community.
It's a great mission, Jon, and this is what I love also about the effort. First of all, the ideas in the idea market, as you said, it just brings so much innovation and obviously collaboration on those as well too. And I think these are openly available as well, right, to the industry. And this is a great thing, how they become just an open platform that's been really put together by some of the greatest, mind shares and ideas in the industry. And I know historically, from a Fortinet perspective, dating back a couple of years now, we've been involved in some projects which have gone through multiple iterations. So it's also a refresh cycle too, specifically the sightings ecosystem. We can talk about that later. Attack flow, I know we've had conversations on and have done some studies on too. So those are just a couple of mentions, right? But it's been a journey over a couple of years now.
Yeah, completely agree. And so when we set out to create this organization, we had this vision of trying to help the whole world kind of focus on better understanding adversary behaviors and use that to improve their defenses. That's what threat-informed defense is all about.
Right.
And we kind of knew we could get the right people in the room, and if we got the right people in the room, we could identify impactful projects to solve them. The thing that has been a really nice surprise for me is just the level of engagement from our members in the research program and the learning that I see with my research team and across our members. Time and time again, as we finish up projects, I hear from our members how they learned and how they benefited from the R&D engagement on the project, and how we all learn from each other has been incredibly rewarding for me too.
Yeah. So let's talk about, the center every year puts out its annual impact report. So the latest being the 2023 impact report. And maybe, it'd be good to give a high level overview of that report. It's a great report, by the way, highly encouraged to read. And it's a great summary of all the good work that's been done in the last year. So maybe you can talk a little bit about the report itself and some key takeaways from what we've found.
Yeah. The impact report, we put it together annually. It summarizes the work that we published in the past year. And I think importantly, it captures perspectives of our center participants on kind of the value and the impact of the work that we've done over the course of the year. A couple big things in there this year. We, as we've grown the research program and kind of evolved and matured, we really wanted to make sure that we called out and recognized the broader community and their role in contributing to support the whole research program. So, Derek, you mentioned Sightings ecosystem. Yep. As an example, that project where we're trying to create the sort of a paradigm where we can all make data-driven decisions by collecting and analyzing sightings of adversary behavior correlated to attack in the wild, and use that knowledge to inform and drive our prioritization. Well, that's only possible with you guys helping to fund and collaborate on the research and contributing data, but also the broader community stepping up and contributing data. So if you kind of peek into that report, you'll see that we had a really good number of community data contributors that kind of believed in the project and were in a position where they were able to help support the project with data contributions. And so, as a result, with the sightings project, we were able to collect about 1.6 million sightings. And, what these are is essentially events or, indicators of some specific adversary behavior correlated to an attack technique that we were then able to aggregate and analyze. Through that, we saw 353 unique techniques. And if you kind of look sort of globally, what's very encouraging is that we got data contributions from around the world. And so we saw 198 countries represented in that data set, trying to give us that holistic view of what adversaries are doing today so that we can use that to drive and prioritize our defenses.
Yeah, and I think that's, so again, the sightings, this is what I meant earlier about talking about the journey. Obviously, MITRE ATT&CK is another example. Everybody knows about MITRE ATT&CK, and now we're up to 14 versions of enterprise. Like it continues to live on and become improved over time. Sightings is the same, right? We're already looking now at there has been a sightings too. And the initial work in this, so you mentioned that ecosystem, to me, this drives threat-informed defense. When you talked about being able to provide light sightings and detail on the actual techniques that are being observed. So then you can start to reposture your defense, like do that detection engineering based off of real data, not just from Fortinet, we're a contributor, but the industry as a whole as well. It becomes a platform. Essentially.
Yeah, I think of it, sightings kind of fits together and complements the attack knowledge base, where attack is sort of like all of the known things that adversaries have done. Based on intelligence, and sightings give you that view of, well, what are adversaries doing now and how are their patterns of behavior changing over time, right? Yeah. And so you need the two. You need to understand what's possible, what adversaries have done, but to really drive and prioritize your defenses, you need to know what they're doing now, right?
Yeah. And speaking of knowing what they're doing now, let's talk a little bit about 2023. So I know a couple of the projects that we worked on with Fortinet were summoning the pyramid and attack workbench. Maybe we can talk about those because those are top of mind. Specifically with summoning the pyramid, of course, for I think a decade now, we've always talked about the pyramid of pain, what that is, and how do we impose a cost on the adversary, and that's essentially what this project is putting under the microscope, right?
Yeah, so summoning the pyramid is honestly one of the projects that I'm most proud of from the Center's research program last year. I think it's a really good example of the kind of work that we can do as when you bring together that right set of participants. So we had 8 organizations working together with us to try to help all detection engineers create more robust detections. As Derek said, most people are familiar with the pyramid of pain and the concept of trying to think about pain to the cyber adversary and how you can, with your defenses, kind of work up towards the top of the pyramid where it's a focus on adversary behaviors. where if you're able to detect an adversary behavior, that means they have to like go back to the shop and develop new tools and capabilities. They have to change their behavior. They have to create a new playbook, right? So what we tried to do was help the whole community understand how to systematically take a detection from very low level items on that pyramid, things like IP addresses or file hashes, and move it up towards the top of the pyramid. And we did this based on what we had seen in the sort of the aftermath of SolarWinds. We found that there were a lot of detections out there that could have detected SolarWinds, but they didn't. And when you really dug into the details of what those detections were doing, we found that those detections were often, referring to those ephemeral items, file hashes, IP addresses, and they were easily avoided, right? And so it just kind of set us and our center participants down to try to figure out, well, what can we do to not just have one organization get better at detecting adversaries, but really help the whole community get better, right? And so today, Summoning the Pyramid is out there, and I know firsthand that there's security teams around the world using it. I know that there are several cybersecurity vendors and a major platform vendor that have baked that Summoning the Pyramid logic into their capabilities to try to create more robust detections. And so to me, through our research program, my research team learned, we were able to create an impactful resource that's now shipped in product and in helping improve detection capabilities on millions and millions of endpoints. And it's also leveraged directly by security teams that are writing their own detections. And it's that collaboration and that goal to create global impact that leads to publishing a resource like this that allows us to have that.
Yeah, what I love about that is it's very strategic as well, because of course we've talked about this concept for a while, but this is a tool to do it and actually make an impact too, which is fantastic. And we're certainly following that here too at Fortinet. Yeah, and then there's Workbench as well too. So this is also keeping in mind that every organization has their own local tool sets, their own local views and infrastructure, and it's really just an extension to the attack workbench, right?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Derek. At this point, I think if you were to kind of survey attack usage around the world, you'd find that probably most governments use attack. And I know most sophisticated security teams use attack or have plans to use attack. With Workbench, we're trying to make it much easier for that entire attack user community to annotate and kind of expand on the attack knowledge base with their local knowledge, right? As the attack knowledge base evolves and gets updates published every 6 months or so, we want to make it really easy for you to stay in sync with attack and for you to layer your additional intelligence that's maybe local to your organization or specific to your sector or region on top of that. And so obviously, Derek, you and the Fortinet teams were big collaborators with us on Workbench, and I think you guys are even using it internally too, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, and it's something again that just helps to optimize resource. We're always, in the industry, organizations that I speak to, I mean ourselves included, we're trying to be as efficient as possible. The way that we do tooling, that we respond, modeling, so all the above, right? From things like the sightings ecosystem, attack flow, Workbench as we talked about, and summoning the pyramid too, and then we're always looking at what's next. So maybe let's shift gears and talk about that. And I'm really excited, obviously, about this year in 2024. We've seen tremendous progress over the last couple of years. So maybe, Jon, you can give us a glimpse into some of the key projects in play for this year.
Yeah, I think this year we built up so much energy and momentum in the research program as we went through the year last year that it's allowed us to hit the beginning of this year really running fast. We've already launched 4 new projects that are kind of running in our research program right now, and so that's kind of ahead of pace for just new project starts that beyond anything we've seen before. And so that in itself is exciting. We're also in the middle of a bit of a wave of project publications right now. We've published 2 projects this year. We have 3 more projects coming out over the next 4 weeks. So we're in this very busy sort of finalization and publication mode right now. With 2024, we're really off to a strong start. We had built up a lot of momentum and energy in the research program through 2023. That's allowed us to launch already 4 new projects. We've published 2 projects, and we're in the middle of this very busy publication cycle right now with 3 more projects coming up over the next 4 weeks. When I look at the specific project that I'm particularly excited about, well, we're going to continue to innovate on top of summiting the pyramid and the work that we've done there. So I'm very excited to see us take that methodology out towards network-based detection to other platforms like Linux and Mac to really help kind of scale that whole community-wide ability to create robust detections. The other project that I think we're working with you on right now, Derek, is the Technique Inference Engine, right, where we're building on top of attack flow. So attack flow is this data model for representing sequences of adversary behaviors. We want to collect and analyze a large corpus of behaviors and use that to create an inference engine so that like a detection engineer or a threat hunter might be able to leverage that knowledge of past attacks to help them infer what you might want to look for next in the organization. So that'll be a big kind of audacious research project that we're running this year. And I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah, that last one especially. I mean, as you know, I'm a very big fan of attack flow. It's also one of my favorite projects. We've modeled this through our research and blogs, and then the question is always what's next, and this is an answer to that with the inference engine, right? To be able to look at that larger modeling and the probability of flow and how you can be prepared. And I think the more, again, the industry adopts that, the more powerful it's going to get. So really, really excited about that too. Hey, look, Jon, I really appreciate your time again. This is, what I'm most excited about. We're obviously as a research partner with the Center for Threat Informed Defense. We're going to continue to roll up our sleeves and work on that, along with all the other members. There's so many great projects going on as we just outlined. For our viewers out there, you can view, I highly encourage you to view the Center's Impact Report. You can find that at ctid.io/impact. And of course, as Jon said, there's constant activity coming in social media feeds and a blog, as well as from our side at Fortinet at Fortinet.com. We have all of our updates as we continue to give our thoughts, updates on projects, the way that we're actually using these tools in the industry as well too. So please stay tuned with that. Jon, thank you for your time again. Really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Derek, for your support and collaboration.
Thank you. Once again, this is Derek Mankey with FortiGuardLIVE signing off.